What is up, my friends? How are we? A bit of an impromptu Saturday night stream because, well, my wife and my son have gone out walking with the dog, and I thought, you know what? Let's jump on for a bit of a Saturday night chat. So I hope that you're all well. Currently, we have some of the Dutch contingent playing 2-0 up against Finland, last that I seen. So our players there, just making sure everybody gets through that one unscathed. Of course, Wirtz tomorrow playing in that, well, third, fourth place playoff, and after that, he'll be coming over for his medical, so we'll talk about that tonight as well. We'll go through some words from Cody Gakpo, a little bit about Reassuring as he closes in on his Manchester City move, and we're linked to a centre-back again. So we'll talk through exactly who that is, and again, I'm not saying this is the centre-back we're signing, I don't know, but it is a credible link, so we'll go through it. Gary K, welcome to Anfield Agenda Ultras, bro. Seeing that you would sorted that membership out. And Terry Tibbs, my man, we're not going to be calling players that are coming to the football club the type of things you did, so that's why we're not bringing up the super chat, and that's why, well, you've been gone. So right, ladies and gents, as always, do keep your comments coming in. If you want the latest on where we're at, like I said to you yesterday, my world, my understanding, fee agreed, no problem there, like we said yesterday. And when I say fee agreed, I mean outline of the whole thing is agreed. I told you yesterday I didn't know the specific number. The one that we had heard was about 142 million euro. It seems like it's about 134 million euro. So good, as far as I'm concerned. The lower the better, because we want our club doing as good a business as we can. So again, tonight I just said I'd come on and have a chat with you all, because it's Saturday night and I missed you guys. So we're in for a bit of fun. Right. Eddie said, so much for your day off. It was pretty much a day off, in all honesty, mate. I didn't have anything to do earlier on in the day. I won't be putting out a live video or anything. This was just more of an impromptu Saturday night stream, because, as I always said, my man, I enjoy it. It doesn't seem like work to come on and chat with everyone, so I thought, why not jump in tonight and get exactly that. So, look, I want to start off, if I may, and we will answer any questions you have on the deal for Wirtz. Do feel free to throw them into the chat. But I want to just start off with welcoming a new player to the football club. As I'm sure that you've seen today, Liverpool did unveil that fourth signing that we mentioned. It's Armin Pekshi, excuse my pronunciation there, any Hungarian people watching. A couple have already reached out, by the way, to try and help me with the pronunciation. Absolute legends. He has signed a deal with Liverpool Football Club. And what's beautiful about this is the kid has been a Red since he was a kid. And you can see how happy he is, I believe, standing there with his father as well, unveiling the Liverpool shirt with the beautiful lean in the contract signing. So welcome to the football club to him. And it's great to see another player come in that has been, well, a Liverpool fan since they were a child. There's a lovely photo doing the rounds of him in a Liverpool kit when he was younger as well. And I've told you before, there was also, I think it was on his Instagram, there was a couple of years ago, images of him at Anfield for a game. So always good for me when you bring in somebody like that, who isn't just a good player, but is also a Red through and through. Jack, how are you, bro? Said, just got my phone repaired after it got soaked during the parade. So excited about the players incoming. Yeah, I can imagine. It was certainly a heavy downpour at times, but I'm glad that your phone got back to you eventually, mate, in one piece. And lovely to have you in, Jack. Right, let's get in and see how the chat are feeling before I got stuck into some of the news, because I want to say hello to everyone. Right, so what have we got? So City have agreed to sign Nuri. Makes me wonder if City are going to get away with these charges. Honestly, I've had the same thought process myself, mate, on the charges. You know, they've gone out there and they've made 160 million quid's worth of signings in the winter window. They've obviously got Nuri coming through the door now as well. That package has been agreed. Looks like he will be able to come in time to play for them in the Club World Cup. And look, he was on our list of potential left-backs. You know, if you were to give me, or to ask me, three strong names that Liverpool were linked with there at left-back, obviously Kerkez, Nuri and Hato. And Kerkez is the number one target, hence the reason we're signing him. Now, again, on this one, I'm confused on exactly where we're at with Kerkez, to be honest with you. I don't know at what stage it's at. What I do know is, again, he's left the Hungarian national camp. Bents or, Hungarian journalists will have far better information on this one. But the last time I checked in, Liverpool and Bournemouth were still trying to trash out the numbers on that deal. But again, player very clear, wants to play for Liverpool Football Club. And again, he will be. Let's move on to actually some comments in the chat. Hatta would be great for versatility, said Triller X. I don't disagree, my man. What's that? Cherky is that teacup puppy, and we have a Boer bull. I love that. I love that. Look, I have found it a bit of a mad 24-hour seeing some people say we should have signed Cherky instead of Wirtz, and I'll never understand that. Cherky's a good player, but we got the one we wanted and the one that we need. Craig, who's your favourite Liverpool player? Of the current bunch or ever? Ever, Robbie Fowler. Of the current bunch, I think I'm probably still with Alisson at this point. Yeah, I'd probably say Alisson. Alisson and Maka, I absolutely love both. I've heard some rumours about Diamonde, said Mario. Yes, mate, that is exactly the name of the centre-back that I'm going to talk about later on, because like you've said, bro, there have been reports linking in with Liverpool. Truthfully, I don't know how serious these links are. I don't have any information on centre-backs, to be honest with you, other than what's been reported in the media. What number do you think Wirtz will wear, said Aaron Edwards. Good question. It could depend on potential departure, for example. Let's say Luis Diaz does get that move to Barcelona and it happens. Will Wirtz take the 7? You would imagine somebody would, right? It's too big of a number not to. Other than that, what is available at the minute? 23, 27, 17 obviously isn't available. That's Curtis Jones' number. Yeah, so I would guess maybe 23, but I don't think we're going to see him give up the Maka give up the 10, nor should he, in my opinion. 9 could be interesting. Yeah, if Darwin Nunez does go, 9 could be interesting. Actually, on Darwin Nunez, it looks like one of our potential avenues for sale isn't there. Al Hilal apparently no interest in signing Darwin Nunez. They're still pushing really hard to try and get Victor Osimhen done. And it looks like they've got a fee agreed with Napoli, but it's just waiting, according to Romano, for Osimhen to give them the nod. Did you see some reports that we could be holding on to 9 for another season? I'd seen one person on a social media platform say that Arne Slot sat down with Darwin Nunez and said that he's got one more season to convince him. I don't for 1 second believe that, personally. The only way, Gary, I see Darwin Nunez still being at Liverpool next year is if nobody's come in with an offer to buy him. Even at that, I would still say a loan with an obligation or potential to buy would be more preferable. I'd be amazed, absolutely amazed, if he's still here by the time the window closes. So yeah, I wouldn't put credibility into that report, to be honest with you, my man. But I have seen it, like you mentioned. Mookie, how are you, bro? Said greetings from Bosnia. Don't know if you remember me, but never mind. I just want to say, if we hit the jackpot with a striker, this could be a dynasty. Appreciate you, man. I do not remember your name, but please don't take that as any type of negative thing. I'm a ditzy fella. I barely remember my own name half the time, my man. But really appreciate you, and lots of love to you over in Bosnia, my friend. Turtle Project said, am I the only one that hasn't given up on Nunez? The guy's work rate is top notch. I've given up on him, and I've given up on his attitude more than anything. There's no doubt he has all the talent to succeed. I don't think any of us would ever question that. But it's the mental side of it. He just doesn't seem to be. He doesn't seem to be able to piece it all together. It could just be the league. To be fair, like, I'm not saying Darwin won't go elsewhere and do well. Sometimes players just don't work in the Prem. You've often seen players do well in Serie A or La Liga, come here and it not working out, and vice versa. So maybe with Darwin, it could just be a cultural thing, the league, or mental. I don't know. Thoughts on Chelsea's bid on Jamie Gittins? When are they going to stop spending money? That's probably my thoughts on that one, mate. I don't know about Gittins because I've never really paid much attention to him. Let's wait and see what happens. It's an interesting one. They've certainly made it clear that they're looking for a wide player. I just don't know much about Gittins, or if he'd be much of an upgrade. You would imagine Madueke or somebody maybe moved on, or I don't know. They just love spending money, don't they? They love making signings. Craig, do you think our midfield will be better than Barca? I believe so. Oh, I don't know, my man. I don't really like comparing these type of things, us versus them, or this player to that player. I will say that I'm really happy with the midfield that we have. Like everybody else, I'd like to see Ryan Gravenberch perhaps get a bit of a breather on occasion, whether that's with young Stefan Bajcetic or somebody else. I do think he could do it a bit less time. I think if we can keep all our players at peak physical fitness, and that would be done by, of course, measuring their minutes and making sure that they got a break, will be in a really good shape. Because, yeah, it's a brilliant midfield. I can't say otherwise, mate. It is. Craig, we get judged for spending over 100 million on the best central attacking midfield in the world. City spend 100 million on Grealish and get nothing. Can I just say something? I'm not English. That's not the breaking news here. I'm not English, but I'm waiting for the fuss about the booing. Oh, I'm waiting. I turned on Sky Sports and I'm like, well, England got booed, so where's all the crap that we had to put up with? Or is it just only Liverpool can get criticised for these things? Because remember, England players, they're all your boys. All of them. So where's the furore? Where's the headlines? Where's the people feigning shock at England players being booed for that 1-0 win against Andorra? It's a bit of hypocrisy there yet again, isn't it? It only fucking impacts it when it's Liverpool and people just want to take cheap shots. Didn't see the energy, same energy when the England players got booed at half-time and at full-time. Didn't see Sky and everybody else jumping up out of their seats to condemn it. 340 a week is crazy. Is it? I think differently, to be honest with you, mate. I view it that if you're spending so much money and it is going to be a club record fee, you would expect spending 100 and what is it, total figure, £113 million on somebody for them to be coming in on a pretty big wage. Again, let's look at the comparables here. Grealish is on 300 grand a week at Man City. Rashford was on 300 or 350 grand a week at United. Young Saka at Arsenal was on, 250 or something a week. So if you're bringing in somebody like that, I would expect that the club would have to pay a high wage for him. And remember, we've just freed up Trent's wages, and I know Frimpong will still get a decent wage, but it wouldn't be anywhere near the levels of Trent. So I think the wiggle room is obviously there. Exactly, and who gives a shite? It's John's money, yeah. I'm certainly not going to sit here complaining about us throwing too much money around after spending 6-7 years moaning about us not spending enough. Gary said, Nunez, I meant. Oh, I know what you meant, Gary. Yeah, sorry. I did go through it, mate, and I've seen the report. I just don't believe it, in all honesty. I think the only way Nunez is still here is if we can't get rid of him. Simple as that, not because he's won the manager rounder at him. What do you think about Murillo as an option at centre-back? A very good option. My only concern there was, and I don't know, this is a genuine question I'm posing, would he have the recovery pace to play the high line that we play? Aerially, I think he seems good enough. Forest obviously didn't get the Champions League, so maybe he could be tempted away, but honestly, I've not seen or heard anything on his name or any real centre-back links that I would say are bona fide, bring them to the audience links. But on that, let's move on to Diamande, because there was a report in Portuguese outlet A Bola that claims that Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Manchester United and a few others are looking at Ousmane Diamande. Obviously, his name has cropped up in Liverpool circles before. €60 million apparently would be the price tag for him. He's 21 years of age, Ivory Coast international. Fine, if that's, again, take it with a pinch of salt because it's just coming from a Portuguese outlet, but it'd be an interesting one. Apparently he joined them from Midfield in Denmark, and he has a contract running through till 2027 currently with Lisbon, but keep an eye on it. You know, I don't know if it's genuine or not, but certainly done the rounds today, so. Looster, Train Spotting, said, Craig, do you think Jeremy Frimpong would play at right wing while Salah is at the AFCON and Bradley plays at right back? I think it's very possible. Definitely. You know, it depends if we bring in another player. Maybe. You know, at that point, maybe we see young Rio get some minutes as well. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, I think Frimpong could definitely do a job there while Mo's at the AFCON in, January time? Something like that, January, February. Let's go with this one. Deutscher Copbite, how are we? Said, hi mate, just wondered what your thoughts are on David Ornstein saying we're still looking at Ekitike and Isak. Again, I would absolutely say to you, mate, I am happy to bow down to his knowledge on this because I don't have anything that, you know, I know that you don't know on the centre forward situation. I don't see value in Ekitike at €100 million. I just don't, but again, I'm going to just say, if it's who the manager wants, go get the player. But Isak's the interesting one for me, because I'd seen Graham Bailey, first of all, say that Liverpool haven't given up on Isak, and I think he's caught offside, if I'm not mistaken. And then if Ornstein came out and said we haven't given up on Isak as well, then I guess we mustn't have given up on Isak. I would be absolutely shocked if Newcastle do sell, but I think they're trying to negotiate an extension with him at the minute, and so far no breakthrough on that one. So, is Graham Bailey reliable? It's like everybody else, mate. Hit and miss. You know, I'm not here to belittle anybody. Some people get things right, some people don't. I wouldn't put him in a tier A category, put it that way. I would say keep an eye on what he says, but would I say everything is gospel? No, probably not. So I'm going to ask, do you think Ekitike is good enough for the first poll tonight? Because I really don't know on Hugo Ekitike. I just don't know. Do you think Ekitike? No, Craig, that's not how you spell it. So actually, I've changed the question slightly. And I'm going to ask, do you think that Ekitike is worth 100 million euro? Or I'll put it in pounds as well, just to be fair. Or, where are we at? That one. Right, so do you think Ekitike is worth 100 million euro or 85 million pound? And we'll check back in on this one. Appreciate you taking part in the poll. Again, any questions you guys have, do fire them in, and I'll try my best to get to them. This one, Brap Attack. How are you, sir? Liverpool fans crying because FSG don't spend. Then we spend and they're complaining. Bringing up Cherky for 30 million. Be happy, people. I don't get it either, mate. I'm fully in agreement with you on this one. I cannot understand for the life of me how there is absolutely any negativity whatsoever around us getting Florian Wirtz. I think it's huge. Absolutely huge. And again, I'm with you, my man. And I was one of those complaining. You know, I don't think that's any secret that we weren't spending enough money. But, you know, how could I? Apparently, some people can still find a way to be unhappy. But I've always been honest and said, if they start spending, you'll hear me shut up about it. Because that's all I want is for the manager to get backed. And yeah, I'm delighted at the deal, the signing, the statement that it's going to make. Do you think we will replace Chiesa or bring up Doak? I would imagine Doak is getting sold. Tony said too many adverts. Don't care. Simple as that, Tony. The content is free. Simple as that, mate. I am one of the only Liverpool content creators that do not charge you to access content. End of conversation. If you think there's too many ads, no problem. Buy YouTube Premium. I can't help you, bro. I wish you knew how difficult it was to keep the lights on and not charge anything for content. I really do. I wish I could sit you down and talk you through it, because it would be way easier for us to charge or to go behind a paywall and put out an app or something like that. But I've always promised since day one on the channel that we won't put up a paywall for anybody. And I've done everything that I can to make sure that doesn't happen to anybody. So, again, if you think there's too many adverts, don't watch or buy YouTube Premium. But, again, it's free. I can't stress that enough, mate. It's free. Craig, I think we'll get an announcement on Monday for Wirtz. The medical's booked in. That's all right, Tony. I understand it, mate. But again, these are the choices we have. I get it, but I can't do anything about it, mate. You know, we've got to be able to cover the wages and keep the lights on somehow. I'm not here spamming you with betting links for companies to, you know, sign up to or anything like that. So if you think there's a few too many ads, I apologise, but it is what it is. Anyway. What was the next? I was doing a question there and I got distracted. The medical, sorry. Yes, the medical. The medical's been booked in. Now, I don't know when the medical is booked in for. I'm not going to come on here and bullshit anybody. I don't. But the medical is booked in. What I've also learned today from doing a little bit of ringing around is that the club aren't the media part of the club haven't yet got a time day they haven't got the nod for Kerkez. So no media stuff booked in for Kerkez yet that I'm aware of. That was the word I got earlier on today. But with Wirtz, like I said yesterday, nothing to be concerned about. Don't buy into this shit that said final details, fee agreed, or Sky saying bid submitted. The bid is agreed. I can only repeat this. They're talking about structures and a few little small tiny things, but the number, like I've mentioned, is agreed. You've nothing to be concerned about there, and you will get the nod, I would suggest, sometime after that game tomorrow between France and Germany. Liverpool, of course, going to want to make sure that nothing happens with regards to an injury. Then he will be on a plane for a medical, and then he'll be back off on his holidays for, I think, 3 or 4 more weeks before joining up with the lads on, I think, 8th of July is when we start back pre-season. So yeah, look, it'll all piece together nicely in the next day or two, and we can all take a deep breath then. Craig, is doing this job your dream job? Yeah, I'd say it would be, my man, definitely. I absolutely pinch myself that I get to do this for a living. Craig, do you have a say on what's advertised during breaks? No, not at all, mate. No. It's all Google. We don't have any say in that. I think if there was something we really had a problem with, maybe we could reach out and say we wouldn't like to promote this or that. But no, mate, I don't even see what ads you get. See this, I'm going to call out something here from the Russian Red Army. Get U-Block Origin if you don't want ads. Sorry, Craig, nothing against you, just don't like ads. Well, it is against me, so you can fuck right off. Again, like, this pisses every content creator off. Like, imagine telling somebody, I love your stuff, but I'm not willing to sit through an ad for it so you can stay live and make a living. You know? Nothing against you. Well, it is, clearly, mate. And any content creator will tell you that. That's just like spitting in our face to say, yeah, I have an ad blocker on because I couldn't be arsed sitting through 10 seconds of an ad for you. But I love you. I love you, mate. You're one of my favourite content creators, but I couldn't be arsed sitting through a 10-second ad for you. That makes me laugh. You can't win. I swear to God, doing this job sometimes you just can't win. Where are we at with this one? Schmungus. Wirtz could change this club. He's creative. Absolutely. Like, do you never think about that? Like, people have to make a living, and the content's free, and people have gotten so used to everything being free that they forget that there's another side to it, and unfortunately, you know, a few ads is how we get paid. I don't get it. Anyway, I'm very intrigued by our lineup next season. Will Dom be benched, or are we going to change system? Exciting stuff, said Rusba. Truth is, I don't know on the system, mate. What it will do, though, is give Arna so many options. I'm as intrigued as you are, though, asking the question, because it's a comment we've had loads of times on the chat here over the last few days. Are we going to see a false 9 situation? Will we see Wirtz from the left? I'm intrigued by it, but what we will, I think, all agree on, Rusba, is that it will give the manager a load of options, and that's a good thing. The way this channel has grown since I started watching a few years ago, I know the future has Craig presenting a segment on Sky Sports. I'd be fired, dude. Could you imagine me on Sky, under 5 minutes, I'd be swearing and I'd be cancelled. I did turn down an opportunity to work for a really prominent radio station about 5-6 months ago. I had an opportunity to work for a pretty big radio station, but I like swearing. I'm too used to swearing, so I like being on here where I can say the odd swear word. Craig, who was manager of the Liverpool team when you first started supporting them from Stephen? Kenny, mate. Most annoying thing is I keep getting tampon ads. I don't know where to go with that, Elmir. I don't know where to go with that, bro. I don't know if it's based on search history there or something. Are we Googling something interesting there, Elmir? John is a sniper tomorrow, so he doesn't have to pay. I wonder if Linda just has him locked in a room or something. Jokes, by the way, obviously jokes, but yeah, it's very un-John, isn't it? The amount of money we've been spending. Craig on Sky, 5 minutes tops. Absolutely, Scott. Fired, gone, booted out. Two minutes on there and the C word would be coming out of my mouth and we'd all be in trouble. We apologise for the bad language you may have heard. I don't apologise, by the way. I regret nothing. Imagine if Klopp got this back in. We've been asking each other about this, Jack, over the last week or so. I wonder what's changed. You know, it's got me thinking. Did Jurgen maybe have a part in not spending some of the money? Because I can't think of another reason all of a sudden, you know, Arna's getting backed. Unless Arna's just been more blunt and said, look, I need X, Y, and Z. Yeah, that's all I can think of. Other words, I don't know, maybe John fucking had an epiphany or something. I don't know, maybe he went on a bit of an ayahuasca journey somewhere out in the wilderness and seen dollar signs and thought, the future's spending. Hey, Craig, I fucking spend, Craig. Where's the money, Craig? If you told me Trent leaves and Wirtz joins, I would laugh and say you're insane. That's what making a statement signing is. Craig versus Neville on Sky. Oh, I'd love that. Oh, dude, I'd love that. I often sit back watching the overlap, and I just think, oh my god, imagine. There's no way I'd be sitting still on that thing and letting some of that crap get spoken about without jumping up off me seat. I've often wondered, like, I'd be thrown off the overlap set in about 5 minutes if I was on there. Anyway, sorry, yeah, Ryan, I agree. I honestly thought, Ryan, hand on heart, bro, that Trent was going to be a Liverpool player, one club man. I was absolutely convinced of it. So, yeah, definitely surprising. And also, the second part of what you said as well, Ryan, never did I think we would get Wirtz. Even if you go back and watch streams of mine from a year ago when there was talk of his future and our name was being thrown around with it, I always thought, nah, no chance. Look at Klopp's history of clubs before Red Bull. All teams aren't known for big money. It might just be his ethos. Remember when he compared Bellingham to a child asking for Ferrari? Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering, you know, maybe the Kloppo just not like the direction football was going in that regard, or maybe he wanted the challenge of, you know, building the team with players that weren't superstars. I don't know, but you know, we are where we are now, and I'm certainly not going to sit here and complain about us bringing in Florian Wirtz. Do you have any concerns about Wirtz adapting to the Prem? Oh yeah, you'd always have concerns about any player adapting. I tend to not judge a player in the first 6 months personally. You know, you'll talk about individual performances, you'll rate them and all the other stuff, but you never know if somebody's going to come in and hit the ground running immediately, or if somebody's maybe going to come in and take a while. But ultimately, I think there won't be any problem, Jack. Or excuse me, Mav, my apologies. I think he's good enough. He'll figure it out. But what you're going to enjoy, I think, is just watching him float between the lines and picking up pockets of space. It is an art form, in my opinion, when this is done well. And I keep talking about David Silva because he was an absolute wizard at doing it. But if you look at his stats in the Bundesliga, he is incredible at finding those pockets of space in between the lines. And that's what we've missed. How many times have you been on a watch along with me this season where you've heard me screaming stuff like, where's the movement ahead of them? There's no options for them, no movement, no runners, nobody finding pockets of space. Wirtz will make all of that change. Craig, I can imagine Hughes 5 months ago getting slagged off, sitting laughing, you boys waiting to see what I've lined up for you. Yeah, defo, Dave. Because we were all saying, like, what has this man been doing? You know, what has he been doing over the last year? But Jack said, honestly, I think we've made the difference. The fans getting pissed off and they've realised they won't get away with it without Klopp keeping us calm. I don't know, Jack. Maybe it's that and Arna, because I definitely think Arna took the season, had a look. He even said it himself that they made their mind up months ago on the players that they were going to continue to work with and play. So I wonder if Arne's just a bit more, I don't want to say ruthless, but a bit more confrontational about what he wants and doesn't want. Yeah, I love it, by the way. I think all managers should have a ruthless streak in them at the top level. Matthew, how are we, bro? Said, hey Craig, thoughts on Williams or Rodrigo for Diaz replacement? Heard anything on either? Love the channel, and I'm more than happy to watch a few ads. Again, I don't want anyone getting... Like, Tony just made a point earlier on, and he didn't abuse anybody, and he was very kind in the way he responded back as well. So, you know, that was just... it just makes me laugh, that ad thing, because, you know, it's the only revenue we have, really. So, and on the... No, I've not heard anything on Nico Williams or Rodrigo. None. But what I did see today was confirmation of what we told you the other day. And this one comes in from Fabrizio Romano. Now, again, regular viewers of the channel will remember me saying this. It was either yesterday or the day before. But there is no concrete conversation between Liverpool and AC Milan or the agent of Rafaelo. And that was from Fabrizio Romano. And I said that to you guys either yesterday or the day before, that all the links with Rafaelo, there's nothing to them. Download SmartTube. So I'm guessing you don't want to be here either, Paul, then. So you can have a timeout for that one. You remember, so I'm giving you a timeout. Mate, any telling people how to block ads is basically like spitting in my face. So if you're going to do it so openly in front of me, well, of course there's going to be consequences to it. If people want it, we can happily go behind the paywall like other channels do and charge 5 or 10 or 15 quid a month for content. But, you know, we're trying not to because we want to make sure that everybody can access our content. Can't see the deal falling now or failing now, Craig. Can you? No, it's done. We've nothing to be concerned about. Honestly, absolutely nothing to be concerned about on these three. The only concern I have at the minute is the agreement on the deal for Kerkez, because it's not there yet. The agreement between Liverpool and Bournemouth isn't there yet. And that's a little concern to me, because obviously I hate when we're holding up over like 5 million quid, as an example. It makes me nervous. But the player 100% only has eyes for Liverpool. You've already seen Manchester City go out down to the market today and get Ait-Nouri. So that's the only concern I have about the impending deals, shall we say. To think 2 months ago we were discussing Morgan Rogers as a dream signing. Now we're getting Wirtz. Crazy. Also was Pechi the mystery fourth signing. So the honest answer I got back today when I said about was this the mystery fourth signing, the answer I got back was I don't know, because to be fair to the person that told me, they did say they didn't have any idea who that fourth signing was going to be. So maybe it was the keeper. Or I guess the other avenue is perhaps it's Georgi Marmadashvili doing his media stuff. But I would imagine it's one of those two, to be fair, Matthew. But again, can't get confirmation on it, so not going to come on and lie to you. Cypher Bureau said, hey Craig, anything on Lewis Kumas? Is he going to get a chance here in pre-season? Do you know what? I'll be honest and say I don't know. But he's certainly well thought of at the club. And, you know, did he score 2 for us? Did he score 2 and Dan scored 1 in that League Cup game? Or was it vice versa? I always get it mixed up. But, yeah, Kumas is definitely a player that I think will make it in the Premier League. Just hand on heart, don't know where Liverpool are at with Kumas and their thought process. Certainly he'll get a look in pre-season with Arna. I would imagine that, at least the early part of pre-season. I think... keep an eye on who goes on the pre-season tour to Asia. That'll probably give us an indication of maybe who's probably going to move on. Like Tyler Morton has been speaking about the fact he's probably going to move on as well this summer, like we mentioned before. Does YouTube know if you don't watch the ads? Like, does Surfshark ask for analytics to make sure we ain't skipping ads? Well, you can't skip any of the ads for them because they're played by us. So we control when I play a Surfshark ad, obviously. So that they know the metrics of. And yeah, all these companies ask for your demographics when you start to work with them, because they want to know where your audience is located, the average age that your audience is watching from, for obvious reasons, like make sure that they have, marketable sales in that area and stuff. But so what we did do, by the way, and I hope you appreciate this one. What we did do was we knocked Manscaped on the head for going into next season, because, and again, this is the honest answer, I felt it was saturated. I thought that you'd heard enough about me trying to flog Manscaped, so we made that decision to not renew that sponsorship with Manscaped going into the new season, because I didn't think it was best for the community. I thought you'd be fed up of listening to it, so we knocked that one on the head. So we even took quite a financial hit on that, because it just didn't feel like it just felt like it was saturated to me, that we'd done enough. Stevie Boy said, do you think Alisson will be at the club at the end of next season? It's a really good question. I think it might depend on the injuries. I think the intention would be for him to see out his contract and then leave. I don't expect there to be another extension, but he's 2 years left to go. Every time I've seen him speaking about it, he's always talked about fulfilling that contract and maybe then going back to Internacional in Brazil or somewhere else. But I think it may depend on the injuries this season and how much time Amrabat really gets in the Premier League and the Champions League. So, yeah, I'm not 100% on it, but as I mentioned, yeah, maybe the injuries, keep an eye on that situation, see what happens. Tuscany said, Craig, who gets the vice captaincy? For me, I would go with Maka personally. If you go with seniority, then you're looking at the likes of Alisson, Mohamed Salah, perhaps. For me, I like the idea of Maka getting the armband, or the vice captain's armband. So yeah, that would be my answer. This one. Love the streams. Keep it up, you gorgeous man. Thank you, Oliver. Appreciate you, bro. I've been in a really good place lately, mentally, mate. And, I'm enjoying them. That's why I jumped on tonight, because I've had such a great night every night over the past couple of weeks, that I thought, hey, let's just come on again while the wife and the son are out walking the dog. Jonesy, how are you, my friend? Said, hi, Craig. Feeling Isak is still in the pipeline. It definitely feels like they haven't given up on it. Now, I don't know. Again, I'm not going to lie to you, mate. I personally haven't got a clue. But from what I'm seeing, reading, it would be fair to say that the club don't feel, at least publicly, that Isak's off the table completely yet. I don't know. I'd love him, but I would still be very, very surprised if Newcastle let him go. Especially now Man City are trying to sign Tino Livramento. Newcastle don't want to sell Livramento, but Manchester City looking at him at right back, and I think Tino Livramento's a good player. So again, you might see Newcastle bring in some of the money that they may have wanted to go out and spend themselves, or to aid their spending. So that might, if they sold Livramento as an example, that might be enough for them then, where they go, well, there's absolutely no way we're going to look at Isak. Moving on. Craig Johnson was the first player I can remember at Liverpool. Who was yours? Craig Johnson, the man who invented the Adidas Predator as well. The Australian perm-haired, beautiful man that he was, invented one of the most iconic football boots. Who was the first player I can remember? Ian Rush. Yeah, Ian Rush, without a doubt. Remember Rushy, remember the moustache, remember him standing out to me. Yeah, definitely Ian Rush was the first player I can remember in a Liverpool shirt. Right, let's check in on our poll. So, we asked, do you think Hugo Ekitike is worth €100 million or £85 million? We've had 2,200 votes on this one, and 87% say no. I agree with you. He wrote the Anfield rap as well, did he? I didn't know that, Brian. That's class. That's class. I didn't know he wrote that as well. That's brilliant. That's another iconic thing to have to your name. Yeah, sorry, I'm a bit taken aback. I didn't think it would be that wide. 86-13. Wow, that's crazy. He's worth about 55. I agree, Nick. I'm right with you, my man. I think 60 million euro is about a fair price for Ekatike from what I've seen. So I agree. And now I'm going to ask you about Isak because I'm intrigued to see if people do think there's still a chance. One sec. Why can't I type, lads? Can somebody teach me how to type on a keyboard and do two things at once? Right. Do you think we can get Isak? Yes or no? Because honestly, I would be in the no camp on this one, but I'd happily be wrong. I just don't see it. If they hadn't have got Champions League football, if Villa hadn't have shit the bed on the last day of the season, I think maybe we have a much better chance of getting Isak. But the fact Newcastle got into the Champions League makes me feel like they can do enough to convince them that things are going in the right direction there. That, of course, and winning a trophy with them this season. Yeah, I just wonder. There was someone else here. After Nunez, we can't risk spending more than 70 million on an unproven striker. Well, I was watching Sky Sports back pages last night, and they were linking Sky strongly again with Victor Gyökeres of Sporting Lisbon. And even the journalists on Sky last night, I think it was Mark Ogden of ESPN and Henry Winter, and even they were like, I don't know where this money's coming from. Like, do United fans not feel a bit weird about this? If there's any watching, because Radcliffe was sacking people left, right, and centre, talking about cutting the cloth, talking about not having any money, talking about United being in a really bad position, and then out of nowhere, they've got the money to bring in Cunha. They're trying to get Mbomo and then Victor Gyökeres. So what about all those people that were fired, that were put out of a job for the cost-cutting measures? What happens there? They don't matter, though, because you need the new shiny strikers. It's weird. And if I was a United fan, I'd be asking serious questions about where the money suddenly comes from for signings, but not to keep staff in a job. Did I do that one? I did. Itachi, how are you, bro? Said, I'm looking forward to Wirtz, Frimpong, Kerkez, Salah doing Salah things, and Maka being hopefully vice-captain. This will be a great season. I think we're destined for good things this year, mate. I really do. I would be very surprised if we don't end up with some silverware at the end of this upcoming season, especially because Chelsea and City as well at the Club World Cup. I think you may see a league battle between us and Arsenal. Billy Beckner said, spot on, it's very suspicious. And I don't mean that to kind of try to bait United fans or anything. I know United fans see these things like we do, that, again, look after the people who've looked after the club and the hard-working men and women that were working at Manchester United for years. They all of a sudden get the boot, but now flashing the cash again. It just feels a little bit grubby to me. TOTT2KZ1, how are we, sir? Said, love the idea of signing players that will run through a brick wall for the manager and the club. These are the players we need to take us forward. That's why, and you might want to sound the klaxon now because I'm about to say Anthony Gordon again. That's why I'm not as against the idea of Anthony Gordon, Wayne, as some others may be. Sorry, I said your real name there. I don't know if you're uncomfortable with using your real name on camera. But yeah, that's why I like Anthony Gordon, the idea of it so much. Between the homegrown aspect of Anthony Gordon and the fact that I think he would run through a brick wall for the shirt has kind of won me around a bit. I do agree and understand with people saying that there were better options out there. I do totally appreciate that. And I'm not saying that Anthony Gordon is better than the likes of Nico Williams, or I'm not saying that Anthony Gordon is the best that we could ever ask for. But if you take into account, we do need to keep an eye on the homegrown situation. We need a player who wants to come and play at the club. I wouldn't be against it if Diaz went. But on that, what we seem to be getting news on is that Diaz has no interest in Saudi. So let's read this one. Mundo Deportivo in Spain say Luis Diaz will only leave Liverpool to join Spanish side Barcelona this summer. The 28-year-old has become a hot topic in the transfer window, with Barcelona have an approach rejected by Liverpool early this week. The Reds want to keep Diaz at Anfield, but it has now emerged that the player will only leave if a suitable offer comes in from Barcelona. I just hope for Lucho this doesn't become one of those Barcelona stories that they tell him everything's great. He starts to say, I'd like a move, and then they realise that the money ain't there. Because what I don't want to happen to Diaz is that he thinks he's getting a move to Barca, and then it breaks down and he gets a little bit of stick for it. I think he's handled himself very well all the way through. I'd never like players, and I'm going to move on to talk about Gakpo doing this as well. I don't like players on international duty suddenly saying things that they wouldn't say if they were in a Liverpool press conference. So Cody Gakpo answered a question earlier on about his future, and I don't like what he said. Here's what he said. He said, I haven't heard anything. It was about the Bayern Munich link. I haven't heard anything about it myself. I'm closing myself off from it. Maybe my agent has heard something, but I'm focusing on myself. Now, you might say, well, that's kind of something of nothing, Craig, and maybe it is. But he also didn't say, I'm not going anywhere. I'm happy at Liverpool Football Club. And that's what I want to be hearing, you know. I'm sure if others were asked about it, their answer would be, no, I'm playing for Liverpool Football Club. I don't want to go anywhere. I have no interest in going anywhere. That concerned me a little bit, if I'm being honest. And again, I don't know if anything's happening or not, but it does concern me a little bit. Where are we at? Reese. Wirtz gives me Coutinho vibes. I can't wait. I hope you and the family are well, my man. Keep being you, Craig. You'll never walk alone. Thank you. Can we all say congratulations to my wife as well? I never thought I was about to utter the sentence that I'm about to say to you, but my wife took part and won her category in a weightlifting competition today. I know, right? You're probably thinking Craig's missus some big bitch. No, my missus is 5'2" and about just under 8 stone. But so proud of her. She got up really early, left the house at 5:30 this morning to drive all the way up to take part, and it was her first one. She said she just wanted to do it once because she's been training for a year now, and yeah, so proud of her. And she was so happy as well. She showed me, you know, yeah, just so proud of her that she's putting herself out there. So yes, yay to my wife. Much love, Sabrina. Love you, honey. Right, Daryl, loser Mary said, still think it's underwhelming. We need 3 more. We do, Daryl, but there's plenty of time in the window. You know, for me, 5, mate. 5 is the number for me this summer. Probably 6 if I'm being really greedy about it. But 5 I'd be happy with. Left back, right back. Obviously, Wirtz coming in. And then a centre-back and a striker. And I'd be happy. 2 centre-backs if we sell one, but 1 centre-back if we don't. And I'd be happy. But I do think we'll get what we need. It's just, I feel we're going to look towards some sales after these 3 are done. Keith said, I really hope we get a backup DM to help Gravenberch. I think we all do, mate. The only thing I'm saying is I wonder if it's going to be Stefan. And if it is, happy days. I've no issue with that. I very much have faith in Stefan Bajcetic. But, you know, I don't want to second guess what Arna's thinking. But if Arna says, and I've said this for a few months now, I see Stefan being the cover, absolutely fine for me. But if he isn't, yeah, I don't want to see another season with Gravenberch potentially being overplayed. Is there a deadline in between of the June and the Club World Cup? So the window is open until the 10th. Then it closes until the 16th or the 17th. I can't remember which one. So it closes on the 10th. So anybody who's trying to get their players in for the Club World Cup will be trying to do it now in this little mini window. And then it opens up again on the 16th or 17th of June and goes all the way through to the end of August or the 1st of September. Again, I can't remember the exact date. Where else are we at? This one. Do we see any young lads having minutes next season? Yes, I do. Again, it'll be the ones that don't go out on loan, of course. I'm stating the obvious here, sorry, but I think I would be very surprised if Rio goes on loan. I think he's going to want to be kept at the AXA and work with Arne Slot and maybe League Cup games or some handier Champions League games, maybe some minutes there. But I think this will be a developmental season for him. If he goes out on loan, again, no problem with that. The club will have a plan for him. After that, though, Dan's, I expect a loan. Kumas, like the gentleman asked about earlier on, I don't know what the plan is there. Trainioni, I would expect a loan this season for him. That young goalkeeper that came in, he's going to go into the 21s initially. Who else? Is there anybody else I'm trying to think of? Then there's players like Cade Gordon, who I think we should sell. Tyler Morton, who I think we should sell. Players that absolutely aren't going to have a long-term future with the club. And weirdly, there's one player I'm interested to see what happens with, and that's Calvin Ramsey. Because he's had no luck with injuries since he's come in from Aberdeen. And I'm really interested to see what happens with him next season. Is there any more ground development planned? So there is a really good account. Is it Drone Guy with Beard? Or sorry for not knowing his name off the top of my head. But there is a really good account that posts about potential extensions, and they were talking about the Cop end at one point and the King Kenny stand. Truth is, I think you're talking longer term project because the club would have to buy up a load more housing and stuff like that as well. But I think there is some plan for more expansion, but I'm defo not the guy, mate, to give you the very latest on it. There's some really good local accounts that show you via drone footage and stuff like that what might happen, and I found them very informative. Greybeard Media, that's the guy. Yeah, very good account with very sensible, very well-informed information. I would definitely recommend you check it out if you get a chance. Yeah, Greybeard, there you go. That's the one. Yeah, really good, really good. I certainly enjoy the videos when I watch them. Johnny, Panic, thank you, my man. Appreciate you. How the hell is Chelsea not got PSRs beyond me? Not just that, Daryl. According to an article in The Athletic the other day, they have the most PSR wiggle room. The most of all the clubs. By a long way. Make that make sense. 300 million was mentioned. How? Apart from flogging hotels and women's team to yourself and all that shit, but it's mad, isn't it? Where are we? Robert, sorry, Robert. Daydreaming there, mate. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you, my man. Gordon plus Isak for Darwin. Yeah, that seems like a fair deal. Darwin, Elliott, Kwanzaa and 50 mil. I mean, I can't imagine a trade of that many players going in the opposite direction. But the players you've mentioned, certainly the latter two, Elliott and Kwanzaa, Newcastle have and probably still are interested in. Darwin, I would say that interest has probably waned since they've seen him at Liverpool. But they did try to sign him before they signed Isak. Any more news on Dirk Cow coming to Liverpool? Nothing new, Wayne. We're still waiting to see whether it's going to be him or the gentleman that used to work with Arne at AZ Alkmaar or Feyenoord. I know there's been some speculative shouts about Steven Gerrard and that, but not to my understanding, no. Also, the Barry Lutas, the under-21s coach, is departing. Is it Barry Lutas? Is that his name? He's departing as well after quite a long time. I think maybe 9 years, 7-9 years at the club, something like that. So I think Arne is starting to get the grips with it all now, and the important part of the life of a sporting director, and United are finding this out the hard way, is to make sure that the philosophy of the football club doesn't change with every manager. So what you've seen at Manchester United right now is you got Ruben Amorim in as head coach, who plays in a system with 3 at the back, but the whole of United's academy system all the way through is set up to play with 4 at the back. So that's why having a good sporting director at a club is so important. Ideally, a coach should be interchangeable. So you can pick up a coach, replace them, but the system stays the same, true to the philosophy of the sporting director. And that's where the brilliance of what they did with Arne Slot was. They went and looked around, and yes, Amorim was looked at, but ultimately they said that there would be less chaos to the team if it was Arne Slot because of the style of football, and more suited to the squad that we have, and it would lead less surgery, for want of a better word. Also, our opposition analysis guy, John French too, and he's going to City. I did see that, Dramil. I wouldn't have known his name off the top of my head, mate, but I did see that somebody was going to City, all right, yes. Mark Gay will be a surprise centre-back for Liverpool. I remember speaking with he who shall not be named journalist. I mean, fuck, you know who I'm talking about. I remember speaking with him about Mark Gay of Crystal Palace, and the one thing that we were both hearing back was that Liverpool had concerns about the aerial success rate for him. As a defender, obviously, he's a really good defender. But that was the thing that we thought, and to be fair, we both thought similarly, that would go against them or had been marked against them in Liverpool scouting. So I think he's going to move by the looks of it. Bayern Munich and Vincent Kompany had looked at him. We know Newcastle had previously made an offer for him. I don't know if they're still in. But Crystal Palace have a tough decision this year because he's got 1 year to go. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see what happens with him. And truly, I don't know who the centre-back choice will be for Liverpool. I haven't got a clue. Dylan Karan, how are you, bro? Said, hey, Craig, any news on Jota leaving? Not that I'm aware of, mate. When I've often, spoke about it, I've said I would sell him. But I really don't think Arnott is going to, because I feel like Arnott trusts Diogo. If you look between, at the end of the season where the options were Jota and Darwin, he was tending to lean more into Diogo Jota each week. So I think the manager, still has faith in Diogo Jota, and we're potentially losing some. I won't say important, but we're losing maybe 3 players up top in this window, the way things are looking. So let's talk about Fede for a second, because we haven't brought up Chiesa in this one. Fabrizio Romano said Federico Chiesa's priority is to return to Italy this summer during the transfer window. Chiesa loves Liverpool, but limited game time is an issue, and Italian clubs have started contact to be informed on any potential deal conditions. This I understand, because remember, it's going to be a World Cup season at the end of it. So Chiesa is going to want to make sure that he's playing to have a chance to get into that Italy World Cup squad. So, well, that's if they make it. So yeah, it's no surprise to me. Even though Arna did say, yes, he will be here. Yes, I understand this one. If he gets assurances about playing time, which I don't see how he gets really with Salah still being here, maybe he stays. But it is definitely looking. Romano very well connected in Italy, and if he starts talking about Chiesa and Italian clubs, I'd have to believe there's something to it. So, yeah, that's it's going to be a little bit sad, isn't it? Because we all have a soft spot for Chiesa, and we all feel that he wasn't given enough opportunities this season. So it'll be a sad one, because we know that there's a player in there, or a good player in there. So, yeah, that'll be a sad one for me, but also a weird one. You do wonder who made the signing and why. Billy Beckner said, can't blame him for wanting game time. It would still be sad to see him go, but he deserves more game time, so it makes plenty of sense. Yeah, I agree, mate. I do. I totally agree. I don't want him to go, but I can understand his thought process if he does. And I would also say I think he's handled himself incredibly well since he's been at the club. Even with the disappointments of not playing, you only ever see him smiling and stuff. I think he's handled the whole thing really, really well and with absolute class. What's this? Okay, so Mark very kindly looked in for me, and it was Dan's who scored twice in that game, and it was 1 goal for Kumas. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you, bro. Rogue Phantom, nice to see you in, my friend. And by the way, thank you to everyone. I'm always nervous about the chat because, we had a lot of trolling over the years, but you guys have been so lovely again this evening. Thank you. I always appreciate it. So Rogue Phantom said, Craig, do you think that Slot will rotate squad more next season, especially after getting players he trusts? You'd have to imagine so, bro, wouldn't you? One of my biggest venting points this season, and I don't think I'm alone in it, is looking at that bench and knowing, well, 3 of the lads on that bench aren't getting on the pitch with more than 5 minutes to go, so what's the point? So yes, I hope we get more rotation. Now, I do think that Arne Slot, Ruben Peters and the medical team did really, really well managing the load on players this season, considering how little the manager was really changing them around. I think they did very, very well to keep the injuries to a minimum. Mohammed John Soliev, thank you, bro, for gifting 10 Anfield Agenda memberships. Absolute legend. Yeah, absolute legend, mate. Thank you. I'm so sorry, Dowell, to hear that you'd lost your wife, my man. Appreciate your kind words about the show, obviously. But, that's what I love about this community as well, mate. It's a great group of people, and I've had some dark times on here over the years that maybe newer people won't know about. Like there was a video I put up on the channel a few years ago now saying thank you and goodbye. But this community, man, just good people, good people, and I love them all dearly. And thank you, bro. And I'm really sorry what happened about your wife. Marius, thank you as well, bro. Appreciate you. Right, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep looking at this poll. Can I ask you a little favour? If you haven't dropped a like on the stream yet for me, please do. And one big massive favour to ask you. The Clips channel, it's on just above 49k now. The dream is to get the Clips channel a silver play button and get it to 100,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to Anfield Agenda Clips, if you can, just take a second, go across and hit that subscribe button. Connor's been doing great stuff on there, clipping up the best bits from our late night streams and a few other interesting bits and pieces as well. And you've even seen Mr. Crosby now jump on with the occasional little bit of a analytical video himself. So we asked you guys, can we get Alexander Isak? Now, we're really close to 2,000 votes, so I'm going to leave it go and let you guys keep voting until it gets there. We're about 60 away. We'll subscribe to Clips now. Legend, bro. CF787. Thank you, man. Really appreciate you. Yeah, look, on a personal note, again, I want to say thank you so much for... I don't know what's happened, but in the last 28 days, we've surpassed AFTV for views. It's incredible where we're going to at the minute. Me and Connor are pinching ourselves, feeling like it's not real. But our numbers have been incredible over the past month in particular. So to all of you, if you're new into our community, from my family and Connor and everybody, thank you for sticking around and showing your support. We hope you continue to enjoy the channel, and certainly it's been the honour of my lifetime to be here every night chatting with you guys. It's a true pleasure. Yeah, I know. I didn't believe it, by the way, about the AFTV thing, but Drawdy sent it to me. Sent me the list of views from the Social Blade, and there wasn't much in it now. We just a tiny little bit ahead, but considering we're a one-man presenting show with a lot less subscribers, I was so shocked. So, do you think we can get Isak? 64% of you guys and girls said no, they don't think we can get Isak. I don't think it's likely either, to be honest with you. But then again, I don't know who we are likely to sign as a striker. Will Diaz stay? Kelvin, my feeling is no. This feels like the summer Barcelona might tempt him away. But it does seem as if that's the only one that will. And weirdly, everybody seems relaxed about it. Like, he seems relaxed about the future. He seems happy to stay at Liverpool if he stays at Liverpool. He seems okay with the idea of maybe going to Barcelona. Liverpool seem calm about it. No big desire to sell him, but yet at the same time, an asking price seems to have been set. So it'll come down to if Barca can get a package together that works for Liverpool, that works for Diaz, and of course that gets past their own internal FFP systems in La Liga. Kai Hunter, how are you, bro? Said, hi Craig, wanted to come on and say love your channel and stuff you do. It's absolutely amazing. Keep up the good work. Thank you, bro. An absolute pleasure to be on, man. Thank you. Where are we at? So that one, this one. Marius, I'm not sure if I said thank you, but I will now. Thank you, Marius. Jack said, Craig, what's the journalist's name? The he should not be named. It's David Lynch, mate. David Lynch. And I only don't say it because he doesn't like me talking about him. It's not because I have anything against him or anything. He just, that didn't end well. But ultimately, what I was speaking about with David in that scenario was the Mark Gay situation, where we kind of both had a similar thought process on it, because I had asked him, I'm hearing lots of stuff about Liverpool and Mark Gay, and look, this is this is probably last summer or just coming into the start of the season. And he'd said, again, he wasn't 100% certain, but the one thing that we'd both heard back was that the aerial duel success rate for him was a bit lower than Liverpool would have liked. And he's just 6'1", I think, maybe, Mark A. So on the smaller side for centre-backs, especially if you look at the size of the ones we have at the club. Ryan said, Wirtz tomorrow, think we get it sorted then. I don't know what you... So... I don't know what you mean by tomorrow part. Do you mean like the medical's booked in? If that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what will. But the medical's booked in, and it as far as I'm aware, mate, as like I said yesterday, everything's agreed. You know, the outline of everything agreed, numbers agreed. It's just the little details that and the fact he's playing tomorrow, and everybody wants to make sure he comes through that unscathed. Yeah, I'd be amazed if by tomorrow evening we don't hear some news that he'll be on a plane to Liverpool on Monday for a medical, and then off back on holidays for a few weeks after that. So yeah, we're there, mate. It's just, I think, get through this game tomorrow that they have, and after that, you'll see him flying in for his medical. Could you see Stevie G becoming manager of Brentford if Thomas Frank goes to Spurs? God, I wouldn't have a clue. Yeah, I wouldn't have a clue, mate. Do you know what got me about the Thomas Frank situation, though? There's no denying that Thomas Frank's a good coach. Absolutely. And he seems like a very charming man as well. But they've sacked Ange Postecoglou. Look, that's Levy's decision to make. But they're going into the Champions League with a coach that has been at Brentford and not really used to managing a group of players through 2 games a week or games every 3 days. That surprised me a little bit about Spurs making that play for Thomas Frank, because, you know, Spurs are going to be playing Champions League football next season. They're going to be playing the weekends as well. And he's not used to having to manage a squad that way. So I wonder, it just made me pause for a second, because I do rate him as a coach and he seems like a lovely fella as well. Darren Williams said, will Gomez and Kwanzaa go? So the Gomez thing I don't know the answer to, but I think with Kwanzaa, if Kanade stays, I expect Kwanzaa to be sold. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I think a lot of people have been talking about the fact that Jarell Kwanzaa is available this summer. I think the club are going to have to pause, though, to see what happens with Kanade. I just don't think Arne Slot really fully 100% trusts Jarell Kwanzaa. That's just my own opinion on it. This one said message retracted, mate, so I don't know what you wrote or didn't write, but thank you anyway. Sky saying only bid made for Wirtz. Does anybody else want to tell him, or do I have to tell him again? Sky are about 2 days behind everyone, Paul. And I don't mind if you need to wait for Sky, Paul. That's each to their own. But I think my credibility over this in the last week has been more than proven about Frimpong, Kerkez, Wirtz, and the situation with Rafaelo, and the 4th signing that I told you we were told to expect coming in. And Sky Sports are slow on this. But again, it's not up to me to tell you what when you feel comfortable with it. But I'm telling you right here, right now, you've nothing to be concerned about. Wirtz will be a Liverpool player by the middle of next week, and that medical will take place early in the week. I don't know the exact time for the medical. I don't know when it is booked in for, but you've nothing to be concerned about. Auto Tomato said Gay is 5'11", but it's not his height, it's his lack of ability in the air. Much of a muchness, to be fair, mate. You know, it just, if you look at our defenders and you look at Virgil, you look at Ibu, you look at Gomez, you look at Joel Matip, particularly before that, very, very good aerially. Kanade and Virgil are monsters aerially, so that is what we need. We need a towering presence back there. So that's why I'd be surprised if it was Mark A. But he does have that homegrown aspect to him, so you never know. Chiesa as a Leao makeweight. We don't have an interest in Rafaelo. I mentioned this the other day, and it was finally backed up by a journalist. And Fabrizio Romano came out and said, there is no concrete conversation or negotiation between Liverpool, AC Milan, or the agent of Rafaelo. Like I've mentioned, just I'd heard, because there was a report saying Liverpool had started the contract, and I said that's not what I'm being told. As far as I'm aware, there's no interest in Rafaelo, but it was nice to see Romano say that, because he certainly knows Italian football far better than I do. Where are we? This one. Squeaky clean. How are you, bro? Can't wait for all the new signings to build up chemistry with the team in pre-season. Wirtz will be delightful to watch. Big up, Sabrina. Thank you, my man. I can't wait. I can't wait to see them. I can't wait to see the new Adidas kits. I'm really excited to see that. I just feel like it's going to feel like a fresh Liverpool next season. New Adidas kits, some new players in there, and that gold badge as well, the Premier League champions. I'm really, really, really looking forward to it. Brandfield, how are we, my Swedish friend? I hope you're well. Hey, Craig, sorry I'm late. Just watched Sex Pistols and Slipknot at Sweden Rock Festival. What did I miss? Well, it sounds like you were having a pretty good time, my man. Not my taste in music personally, but not too much, bro, tonight. Just kind of coming in, have a bit of a chilled conversation. Abu, how are you, my friend? Said, love your channel, Craig. Feels like home. Keep up the good work. Mate, that means a lot to hear you say that. Yeah, I'm glad you feel comfortable and at home here and welcome in. It's great to have you in with us, and I appreciate your support. Do I have a poll up? Medical, maybe medical on Milos Monday. So there's a bit of a delay with the stuff for Milos Kerkez at the minute. It doesn't look, to the last of my information, again, this could have changed. I don't know that there's been a fee agreed yet between Liverpool and Bournemouth for Milos Kerkez. Yeah, I just don't know. So it will happen, by the way. You know, he only has eyes for Liverpool. There's nothing to be concerned about, but Bournemouth seemingly playing hardball and wanting the 45 million. Joe Morg, how are you, bro? Joe Morg's 29 said, hi, Craig. First stream tonight. Absolutely loving it. Hope you and the family are well. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. And hopefully the first of many more for you, my man. Daryl said, thank you, everyone, for your kind words. Oh, mate, honestly, our hearts are with you, bro. I can't imagine losing your wife, man. Sabrina's everything to me. And if Sabrina wasn't around, man, yeah, it'd be tough. So, of course, we'll be here for you, Daryl. I reckon we'll get Wirtz signed up on Monday. It could happen, Jack. You know, he's going to be on a plane. Medicals will take 2 days. And we probably learned this looking at the Jeremy Frimpong video, which is up on the Liverpool channel if you haven't had a look yet. His signing video. And done over 2 days. So you've all the medical stuff day one, all the, I'm sure, boring stuff for the player. And then you've got the media stuff on day two. So after that game tomorrow, hopefully you get through unscathed. Then you will start to see everything start to escalate and move quickly. And yeah, he'll be in for his medical and we can all be relieved and happy. Tapster said, don't sell Chiesa, loan him out. Again, mate, I don't know what the plan is there. You can't really... I don't see the sense in loaning him out. You know, because then he's another year older. You're 2 years into his contract at the club then. I don't know. I think, personally, just make a firm decision this summer. And if the manager can guarantee him enough minutes to keep him happy, I hope he stays. Because, again, I like Federico Chiesa. But I just get the feeling with the World Cup, and I know your loan idea would get him playing, but also I think a family is to be able to settle down as well. So I just don't like loans. I'm not a big fan of loans unless you're trying to send a younger player out to get experience. But I don't know, I have a bad feeling we may end up with a situation with Darwin Nunez where we're talking about a loan with an obligation or something, because there doesn't seem to be much interest based off, you know, media reports. You know, Al Hilal, sorry, no interest there. So this report from Ismail Mahmoud said there's absolutely nothing between Al Hilal and Darwin Nunez, and there'll definitely be nothing between Nunez and Al Hilal this summer. So where to for Darwin? Where does he go? Are the L links real? No, they're not. And again, you don't need to take my word on it. Fabrizio Romano said there's no concrete conversation or negotiation between Liverpool and AC Milan or the agent of Rafaelo. And it never felt like a good fit to me when I'd seen us linked with him, because I don't think he works hard enough to play for Arne Slot. He's a really talented footballer, but I remember watching him and listening on TNT Sport to the commentators in one of the Milan games talking about this mercurial talent who Milan fans have a bit of a love-hate relationship with, because sometimes he just doesn't do enough out there on the pitch, and then like that he can have a moment of magic and light the place up. But we know that Arne is big on players working their asses off, and look at Florian Wirtz as an example of the type of player that he'll want to bring in. You don't like that music. What rock bands do you like? Not really many, to be honest with you, mate. You know, yeah, not rock isn't my type of music, really, to be honest. A little bit of Metallica, maybe. Nine Inch Nails a little bit back in the day. Nirvana, but not proper. Like, yeah, Sabrina would be the rock listener in our house. I was always more hip hop, R&B, Motown, dance music. That was more my cup of tea. Linkin Park, incredible, by the way, absolutely incredible. Linkin Park, I mean, yeah, brilliant. And may Chester rest in peace. Hey Craig, what do you expect Liverpool to do with Wirtz? Sexy things. I think he'll either operate in the false nine or in the number 10 position behind the striker. But again, I'm guessing here because I don't know the plan. You know, there's lots of reports that said that Arne Slot said to him, "You're coming in to be our number 10." And by that, I don't mean the actual physical number. I mean the creative space between the lines. And I'm so looking forward to it. And I love all the Coutinho comparisons, by the way, because I think he'll be like Coutinho, but multiplied by, I don't know, however many times you want as a better player. What's your favourite album ever? Definitely, maybe from Oasis. Nirvana Live and Unplugged in New York, the MTV album. That was an album that I had as well. I played to death growing up. But yeah, definitely maybe would be my favourite album. Shane said, I think Frimpong is the one to watch this year. Small money, but I think we have a player there. Yeah, and a player that really seems to want to be here, and whose brother and dad are Liverpool fans, and a player who knows the weight of the shirt and seems really excited. And I think we're going to enjoy him. Eddie said, I've heard Darwin gets another year with us, plus with no value, there's other number 9s available. So I've seen one really questionable social media take on Darwin getting another year. But just think of it like this. At the end of last season, the manager had an option to go with Darwin Nunez or Diogo Jota. And I think the one he went for gives you the answer to the question. Arne Slot knows Darwin isn't good enough. Arne Slot knows Darwin doesn't do the right things. Arne Slot, I would be absolutely amazed if Arne Slot has told Darwin he's got one more year to prove himself. Now, the fact that there isn't many other number 9s around, look, that's a very sensible thing that you've said. And I think you can argue that there isn't enough talent in that department for us to maybe have our pick of 3 or 4. But I'll lose my shit if he's still here at the start of next season. I will. Honestly, I just don't want him playing anymore. I'm fed up of it all. The drama, the nonsense, the sulkiness, the blaming everyone but himself. And I said this before. As soon as he put up that post saying, now I know why I'm not playing, he's been fucked right off into the 21s if I was the coach as soon as he put that up there. This one. Rafter, how are you, man? Said, I heard the delay with Kerkez is because our sporting director is playing in a tournament in the USA. Do you know if this is true? I haven't got a clue. Sorry. I don't know what the delay is. I would assume it's over the money, because there is a gap in valuations there. Liverpool, I've heard, view them at about 35 to 40 and they're asking 45. I think it all gets resolved, but I couldn't tell you categorically what the delay is because I don't know. But I would imagine, I mean, the fact that he's left once again the camp, who was it? Was it Benz that said this? 1 second. Let me just run through all the news from the start of the day for you. One of them was from Chris Williams around add-ons and transfers, and he said, what we've seen in transfers before is easy add-ons are a way to smooth a deal. 2 pre-season friendlies can add an extra guaranteed £3 million, used in quite a few deals to get a fee to where the seller wants it to be. Then we had the stuff about Federico Chiesa. Milos Kerkez leaves the Hungary camp for private reasons and won't play versus Azerbaijan on Tuesday. So I can't think of any other reason other than private reasons, being him trying to get this move to Liverpool sorted out and over the line. So, keep an eye on Bence Bolchak on that. Very, very lovely fella and a very good Hungarian journalist as well that certainly has his finger on the pulse. So I'm sure if you need an update on Milos Kerkez, Bence is the guy to keep an eye on. Then we have a report from Germany saying that Wirtz's medical is scheduled for next week. He'll join up with the squad in July. A medical scheduled for next week before Wirtz goes on holidays, knowing that a new era is about to begin for him. That was about him. We've done that one. Then we had the agreement. Liverpool have signed Armin Pecci from Puskas Academica. And by the way, this keeper looks the business. I mean, I've watched a few highlight reels of him and a little bit of footage, and he looks like an incredible goalkeeper. Julian Nagelsmann as well, the German coach, has said that he hasn't received any requests from clubs to rest players for tomorrow's game against France. And I was thinking about this, and we couldn't really request him not to play Wirtz yet, could we? Because legally he's not a Liverpool player. So I don't know if he was alluding to even Leverkusen maybe having asked, but there you go. Our new signing as well, Armin Pecci, has confirmed on Instagram that he is a boyhood fan of the Reds and said it's a dream fulfilled. We talked about Cody Gakpo as well and his words about the links to Bayern Munich. He said, I haven't heard anything about it myself. I'm closing it off. My agent has heard something, but I'm focusing on myself. Oshin said, okay, he's not that good. Who are we talking about? The keeper? Well, with all due respect, Oshin, I'll trust my judgment over a goalkeeper to yours, bro. And he looks like a really good goalkeeper to me, if that's who we're talking about. But again, he's an under 21, so no need to be thinking about him in the here and now. And then we had Alex Crook saying that Manchester City have agreed a fee with Wolves for Ray Knight-Nuri. The fee is €40 million plus €3 million in add-ons, and the deal will be completed in time for the Club World Cup. Then there was the story from Ebola that said that Liverpool are one of a host of clubs keeping an eye on 21-year-old Ivory Coast centre-back Ousmane Diomande. They've an asking price in the region of about €60 million. If I remember correctly, his release clause is higher than that. And they're saying an offer or an asking price of €60 million will get it done. But I know he has a release clause, but I think his release clause is closer to €70 or €80 million. So it seems like maybe Sporting would do business at a lower price, according to this Portuguese outlet anyway. Oh, sorry, Oshin, you were talking about Ollie Watkins, mate. Sorry. I was, again, just trying to dip in and out. I just think Ollie Watkins is too old for us to be looking at, Oshin. I know Robbie Fowler mentioned his name, but for me, I just think he's not one for the now. He's going to be 30 in later this year, I think. When do you think we got to Here We Go? Look, Lee, as far as I'm concerned, it's done and we don't have anything to worry about. But again, I can't tell you or anybody else when you feel comfortable about it. But again, I double checked my information and I'm confident that everything is working out and that there is agreement there. I don't think, again, I don't know, man. I don't know. If you're asking me about the Fabrizio Romano one, tomorrow would be my guess. But again, for me, it's done and we've nothing to be concerned about. Sorry, my YouTube chat just shit the bed there for a second. John said, Voltmada is a nice, cheap solution. Certainly a name that's been doing the rounds, mate. 42 million euro or something like that. as an option. I don't know much about Nick Voltmada, to be honest with you. I didn't even know he existed until the other day when I seen him playing for the German team. Somebody put in a comment a minute ago, and I will get back to the super chats, but I just don't want to forget about this comment because it was one that struck a chord with me. Somebody in the chat said, "To be honest, I'm concerned about the state of our centre back situation." Mate, I agree. Sorry, I can't remember who it was that said it, but I agree with you. That's the area of the pitch I'm most concerned about now, because we are up in the air about Ibu and his future. As far as I'm aware, Quans is available for sale, and there's talks that Gomez has a £25 million price tag on him. Now, even if one of those go, I'm still saying we need two centre backs because we haven't replaced Joe Matip yet in my book. So we need one for now, and then one if we lose one. So I think it's very fair of you to say that you're concerned about the centre back situation, because I agree with you. For me, it's the area of the pitch where I think we're most susceptible to an issue. Where are we? That one. Is Nunez the new Balotelli? I don't know, to be honest with you, mate. When Darwin came in, I was absolutely delighted and so excited, and tried my best to stay on board because he's an easy guy to get behind and like. And then you had that Newcastle moment where he came off the bench, we were down to 10, scores 2. But it's the other stuff that really, I think, shows me what type of fella he is. The moaning at the fans, the snidey posts on social media, the blaming everybody but himself stuff. It's left a bit of a sour taste for me as a fan. But I would be a liar if I told you I really didn't want that to work out, because I did. I really wanted to enjoy Nunez when he was here, but I just haven't liked the attitude he's shown in certain moments. Aaron said, "We've been more than patient with Darwin. With any other club, he would have been cussed after one season. Or ousted. Sorry, mate. I thought you said cussed. I thought we were going American terms there. Ousted after one season. $1 million move, 10-cent finishes." I think he's been given more than enough time as well. I think the fan base, especially the travelling cop, have been incredibly supportive of Darwin Nunez. And I just, I think he's gotten away with it too long. He just hasn't delivered. And I love that Sky are still hammering this, by the way, because I read it last night, that Darwin Nunez is still Liverpool's record signing at 85 million. No, he's not. That's absolutely not true. £71 million is what we've paid for Darwin Nunez, and if he doesn't kick another football for us again, that is the amount of money that Liverpool have paid for Darwin Nunez. So I wish Sky, the one that some people here want to say is gospel, well, they've got their facts very much wrong on that one. £71 million is the number. At the moment, Virgil van Dijk is our most expensive signing. If we had have ticked all the add-ons and everything for Darwin, yes, it would have gone up to £85 million or €100 million, but we didn't get there. Daniel said, "How many trophies do we expect over the next 5 years?" Oh, God. I think that's impossible to say, because I can talk about where Liverpool will be in those 5 years, but I don't know if City will have point deductions or be relegated. I don't know if Arsenal will sack Arteta in a year's time if he doesn't win a title. I don't know how United's rebuild will go. I don't know what Chelsea's crop of youngsters will develop into. So I would say in 5 years, I would hope to be sitting here talking about at least one more Premier League, a European Cup, and a couple of domestic trophies. That's what I think we should expect in the next 5 years. I think that's fair to say, especially with the investment that's going in. Saltman said, "Hey Craig, just got back from Europe. It's a shame we couldn't meet up. I was lucky to see Wirtz play live at the Nations League. What a player. Looking forward to exciting times ahead for Liverpool. Take care." Oh, class. I'm glad you had a good trip. I'm glad you got to see Florian Wirtz live as well. Was it the game you scored a header in, the one they lost? And I'm glad you had a good trip, my man. Appreciate you and your support of the channel as well. And defo exciting times ahead. Who do you think is going to replace Matip? Yeah, I don't know, because we haven't replaced him yet. I think we're getting away with it at centre back. I think we're one injury at centre back to Virgil or Canade away from a massive problem, because I don't trust Kwanzaa to come in and play 6 months beside Virgil and be good enough. I just don't. Um, Nothing against Jarell Kwanzaa. I thought when he first broke through season 1, wow, but I feel he regressed this year instead of moving forward. So for that reason, I think he should be sold. But I've no idea who we're going to bring in. I haven't got a clue. What happened to the Benfica defender Araujo? I think he's still there, Triller. Certainly, we, as you said, mate, we were linked with him. I wonder if Rafa Marquez maybe had a part to play in that link or has suggested him to Liverpool. I don't think he's made a move yet in this summer window, unless I'm mistaken, and I'm open to being corrected on that one. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, man, I don't know. And then, of course, there's the other Benfica defender, Antonio Silva, who was destined for big things and seems to have kind of regressed a bit as well. Man like Spence, oh dude, you couldn't be more right. He is totally overrated right now. 100%. He has flashes of brilliance, Jerky, but I just the people in our own fan base, because I don't give a fuck what people outside our fan base are saying about Turkey or Wirtz, but inside our fan base, to see some Liverpool fans claim we should have gone for him, or there's no value in Wirtz and there's value in him. I think it's night and day, to be honest with you, especially when it comes down to the work rate that we're going to get from Florian Wirtz. Paul Dean said, off topic, but thoughts on Kelleher going to Brentford with Thomas Frank going to Spurs. Did he know about the possibility? Great content, keep up the good work. In one way, I'm happy for Queeveen to go, obviously, and get first team football week in and week out. Selfishly, and as an Irishman, it's sad to see him leave Liverpool, because I did love seeing the tricolour there at the parties and all when they all had their national flags, and I loved seeing an Irishman between the sticks at Liverpool, even as a backup. No idea if he would have known about the potential departure of Thomas Frank, but I would say his agent certainly would have known it's a potential, because we were talking about it 2 months ago that if Ange gets the boot, they were looking at him. So I certainly would have thought that they kept that in consideration. But I do think it was I think he could have gone a bit higher up the Premier League ladder, if I'm being honest with you, Paul. So there were clubs that I thought would have been maybe a bit sexier for him to go to. But, Brentford obviously won him around and gave him the information that he felt comfortable with, and I just wish him the best. Oh, I love that one from Lewis Noble. Chelsea's the new Ben Arfa. If I could applaud you for that one, mate. I think that's a great show. I do. I think it's a great show. What if Ange goes to Brentford? Then Kelleher better start praying, because he's going to have a lot of work to do with no defending in front of him. Going to Brentford is good. I think he'd be looking at him in 2 years as a number one keeper. Oh, he is a number one keeper. I'm surprised we brought in Mamardashvili, to be honest with you. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased in my thinking of it, but I would have thought maybe, a slightly bigger club, perhaps. I think Newcastle and Chelsea both missed the trick. I know Chelsea are going for Mannion with, very good goalkeeper, no denying that. But he's certainly better than Robert Sanchez, and I think he's better than anything Newcastle have. Triller said Huijsen was going to be a great replacement, but he chose Madrid. And I wonder if that slightly caught us off guard, because I did say to you guys at the time that if he stays in the Premier League, Liverpool are where he will come to. But of course, once Real Madrid came in, everything went out the window. And I wonder if we got a little bit caught off guard with that, perhaps. Benjamin said, hey Craig, do you get worried about the conflicting information from Romano and Joyce? Romano words are positive, Joyce's are more reserved. No, because neither of them are saying anything that puts any doubt whatsoever on the deal. And also, I don't know where their sources are. So is it a source for Joyce? I would imagine the source is something on our side of the club. With Romano, I wonder is the source from the other club, from the players' camp, from the agency. I don't know where he gets his information from, but you've nothing to worry about, Benjamin. You know, no matter which journalist you want to believe, all of them have at one point written some version of Florian Wirtz only wants Liverpool. And that's the part that's the most important for me, because the numbers are going to be irrelevant in a month's time. But making sure that he wanted to come and that there's nothing changed in his mind, that's the part that's I think getting overlooked by a lot of people. With so many homegrown players seemingly able to leave, who do you think would replace them? Well, Frank, one thing I did say was that was one of the reasons I was open to Anthony Gordon, because of the homegrown aspect of him. I love Jared Branthwaite as an option as well, but unfortunately I don't think Everton will sell to us. Mark Gay, as people mentioned, is another homegrown option. I'm trying to think of other areas of the pitch. Up top, I don't think you're going to see a homegrown player there, to be fair. I don't think there's any chance striker-wise. In defence, potentially, but it's a tough one to balance out. Frimpong is going to be homegrown, so that's one that has come in to help out. But with Kelleher going, then that's one back out. Elliott leaving, that's another one back out. But again, the club will have this a hand and will know what they need to fulfil the full 25-man squad. Thoughts on Joe Pedro as a number 9, said Mr. Wobson. I would feel more comfortable signing him at 40 million quid than I would signing Hugo Ekitike at 100 million euro or 85 million pound. I like Joe Pedro as a footballer. He wouldn't be my number 1 choice or anything like that, but if the club wanted to box clever and get rid of Darwin, bring in Joe Pedro, keep an eye on Jayden Danns, and if Dan's progression goes well, sell Jota the year after, I think Joe Pedro, again with his versatility, would be okay. It wouldn't be a signing that would knock you off your seat with excitement, but at the minute, the club I'm hearing is pushing the most for him, is Newcastle. But again, those links to us have been there for a while, and I can see why he would tick a lot of boxes for us. Remember a situation we were told before that Liverpool like a player to have almost had a career before his Liverpool career, and with João Pedro, you know he has that Premier League tried and tested angle. Now, concerns maybe about some injuries and stuff, but I'd be comfortable with João Pedro coming in. You know, Wirtz, João Pedro, Jota as a front 3 triangle option. I wouldn't say no to. You've got Salah on the right. I'll be interested to see if we do lose Diaz, if we immediately have somebody in mind to come in, and I would guess we do. So again, let me ask that real quick before we finish up. We'll do another 10 or 15 minutes, but let me just ask this poll on that. Would you be happy with them? 1 second. So, would you be okay with a reasonably priced João Pedro move, is the question that I'm asking. So, reasonably priced being the key word here. Or keywords, excuse me. So, we'll check back in on that one before we finish up. Benjamin, back to you, my friend. Said, I think it's because we've been stung so much, my brain's frazzled. Think I'm just excited and it worries me. Oh, I totally get it. Mate, look, I don't come on here to ridicule anybody or to belittle them, but I do try to reassure. And do I understand why Liverpool fans are tetchy about a big transfer? Of course, man. That Caicedo thing nearly broke me. I wanted to just punch holes in the wall when that situation unfolded. Because if you go back and watch when we won the bidding process, you've probably not seen me much happier than I was on that stream. So I get it. I totally understand it. And when you've got situations like Zubamendi and all, But this one is very different because the player is adamant that we are the club he wants to come to. Would I take Bobby as an extra squad player? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't because I have my memories of Bobby are just brilliant. And I just wouldn't want them tainted. I wouldn't because I know we wouldn't see the same Bobby, and that's perfectly understandable. But no, Bobby left, and I think he left the right way, at the right time, and he's my favourite player at Liverpool of the last 10 years. I like of the Klopp era. I'm a Bobby worshipper. I have a painting of Bobby Firmino on my wall. I love Bobby Firmino. He was it for me, man. I absolutely loved Bobby. I loved his song. I loved his swagger. I loved his mad dress sense. I loved everything about Bobby Firmino. And I love how underrated he was by opposition fans. They always just looked into his goals and used that to slag him off, but they didn't know what we know. They didn't see the work rate, the cleverness, the movement, the tying it all together with Mane and Salah. He was the glue that made that work. What about Isak or Julian? I think Alvarez is a non-starter, unfortunately, because Atleti seem really adamant that he's going nowhere. Isak, there's been plenty of stuff in the last day or two to say that Liverpool haven't given up hope there, but I can only be honest with you, mate, and say I don't know what the situation is with the centre-forward position. I don't know who Liverpool have as a target. If I find out, I'll let you know, but I don't know as of now. I don't know who we're looking at centre-back. And when I talk about a Diaz replacement, it's an educated guess talking about Anthony Gordon because of our interest there in the past, obviously. I think Mbeumo would... Did you hear my dog again? Would have been a good signing. Who was it? Somebody else is going to come in with another bid for him. I think it's Thomas Frank and Spurs. I'm sure I read something earlier on that said Thomas Frank wants Daniel Levy to bring Brian Mbeumo to Spurs. Search that up for yourself. If I'm wrong, I apologise, but I swear I have it in the back of my head that I read that. And I don't blame him. And if that is a potential option for him and he still goes to United, he needs his head checking. Because playing for a manager that you know loves you, that you know gets the best out of you, that you know knows how to set you up, playing in the Champions League in a beautiful, shiny new stadium, not having to move out of where you live in, probably at Brentford, it would, in my opinion, be a far more sensible move for him than moving to United. But Spurs won't pay him £250,000 per week. His backwards no look goal, yeah, class. My favourite Bobby moment though was him sitting down the Arsenal defenders that time when 3 or 4 of them were on their arse in the penalty area. I love that. Adam Wharton for a backup for Gravenberch. Number 6 would be great. Homegrown talent, thoughts on that? Yeah, very good player. Maybe you have a couple of concerns about the injury and maybe about the amount of markup that Crystal Palace would ask for after they brought him in from, I want to say Blackburn, but I might be wrong on that. City had looked at him, but obviously they've since brought in somebody in that position. I would have no problem with Adam Morton. I think it'd be a great option for us, but I can't say I know anything about it. But again, good show. Brian's, I just subscribed. Legend, bro. Thank you. Appreciate you. Score the 7th versus United was class. Yeah, and it felt like the lovely send-off Jonesy lad, didn't it? Bobby scoring that one right at the end just felt like the right send-off. And that's why I don't want it to go away, because it just felt so, or to happen again. It just felt so perfect the way it happened. Barca don't get reviewed till the end of June, July. They need to get their 1-to-1 status back before they can move for Diaz. They're currently on a 1-to-4 scheme due to financial irregularities. Yeah, and that's my worry, Eddie, mate. I think what you said there, you seem quite clued in on it. Yeah, I just don't want this becoming a situation where Barca really push on Diaz's side from and give him the whole it's now or never shit. and then leave him stranded. I don't want it to get toxic for Lucho. If he does leave us, okay, it's his career. But I think so far he's dealing with it well. But I think what you've said there certainly seems pretty well thought out, mate. So appreciate you. Jonesy lad said, this community hearts. Man, I feel it every night, honestly. I come on here every night and I just feel the love in the chat to each other. And yeah, it I don't know. I'm biased, obviously, because, I get to come in here and talk to you all every night. But I love you all to bits. You're amazing people. Working late evening, Craig, bro, and community. Well, I hope it goes fast for you, David. I hope the time flies along for you, my man. I'd do a swap with Borussia for Kwanzaa and Schlotterbeck. Schlotterbeck's defo name, Dante, that has credibility to it. The only reason I'm not talking about the names is I don't know who the targets are, and until then I'll happily discuss what's in the media with you. But Schlotterbeck is definitely a name that is credible. That's one thing I could say. And I don't know. There's definitely interest from the Bundesliga for Kwanzaa, as well as Premier League interest. Newcastle certainly worth keeping an eye on as well. Nathaniel Rose said, hey Craig, is this deal 100% confirmed? For me and my understanding and my information and everything I said last night, 100% absolutely yes. If you or anybody else feels like you need to hear the official line of it, totally understand that as well. But again, I put my neck on the line at the start of this transfer window, and I think and I hope on what I've said I hope I've proven myself, because I told you some things that, well, others didn't. I told you that the fee was going to be less than the 150 million euro. Now, I did think it was 142 million euro, when it turns out it's about 134. I did tell you that we've no interest in Rafaelo despite the media reports. I told you that the club's media team were expecting a fourth signing, but we didn't know who it was. And then the goalkeeper comes around. I told you that you've nothing to worry about with Frimpong, Kerkez and Wirtz. And again, I will be proved right in that. But after that, I have nothing else that I will be putting my neck on the line for, because I just don't have the info at the minute. And again, I might not get it. Don't expect me to be on here telling you the ins and outs of every transfer, because I'm not that guy. I'm not the most well-connected of people. But when I do know something and I've double and triple checked it, I'll talk about it. Have you gotten any crazy cameos yet? The most fun one I've had to record so far was somebody asking me to call their boss, see you next Tuesday. That was fun. And somebody asked me to call their dad a see you next Tuesday in a fun way. That was cool. Honestly, all the cameos I've recorded so far, I've really enjoyed doing. LFC should go for Osimhen. It looks like Al Hilal are really, 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 really trying there. Now, I'm a bit confused on that deal, because yesterday it looked like it had been reported that Osimhen doesn't want to go. Today it looks like they've reversed another truckload of cash up, and I think you're talking about 500 grand a week on offer there, as well as the fee that Napoli want. So, don't know, but I was always very dubious about the links for us and Victor Osimhen, because it didn't make sense to me. Want the Wirtz red home shirt? Oh, totally get it, Jonesy lad. I'm not really give a shit what numbers players wear normally, but I'm really intrigued to see a couple of things. If Diaz leaves, I'm very intrigued to see who gets the 7. And if Darwin leaves, obviously I'm very intrigued to see who gets the 9. On top of that, 23 is a number that I really like, so I'm keeping an eye on that number. And what other numbers? Is 6 still available, isn't it? We don't have anybody in the 6 at the minute. Yeah, so I'm interested to see number-wise who he goes for, or what number he goes for. Doak plus 25 million for Branthwaite. Thoughts? I mean, Jay, I'd bite your hand off for it, but I think Everton value Branthwaite at about 70. So I think you're probably talking 35 to 40. But I'd still do it. In all honesty, mate, I still would. 27. Yeah, 27's another number that's available. 23, 27, 6, I think. I don't have the list in front of me. And again, my memory's shocking. Could Jones move to 6 and Wirtz takes the 17? Again, these are conversations that perhaps they'll have. I don't know what Jones wants to do. If 17 means a lot to him, might be, I don't know, Curtis Jones. That wouldn't be for me to say. Frimpong has also helped Wirtz move. Yeah, they're really good mates. Frimpong used to apparently drive Florian Wirtz to training at Leverkusen when he didn't drive. And I wonder if he did play a big part. What's this? So this, according to Ben Jacobs, just breaking, said Thomas Frank has told Brentford he wants to join Spurs and he's already in talks for the job. So again, keep an eye on that one. Like we said, Thomas Frank, apparently according to Alex Crook, has told, and Ben Jacobs, Thomas Frank has told Brentford that he wants to join Spurs. And that's why I said keep an eye on the Brian Mbeumo situation, because I think Thomas Frank wants to bring him to Spurs with him. Chap Daddy said Ekitike is worth every penny, just as Wirtz. I just don't know, mate. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I've been honest and said I don't know enough about him, but I do know what Frankfurt paid for him, and I do know that the markup seems scandalous to me from the 13 or so million quid that they paid to be asking 100 million euro now. It doesn't feel value for me, but you could very well be right, and I could be underestimating them. Hopefully that will help them both settle faster. I think so. Gyökeres to Atletico, then Alvarez to Liverpool, according to Anfield Watch. Really? Sam Maguire's had some pretty good information around the whole Atleti thing. I know that they were talking about Lautaro Martinez at one point as well at Atleti as a possible option. Again, was it Sam that wrote that particular piece, if you don't mind me asking you? Hill Richard. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I mean, look, I'd be delighted if that was the case, man. My take on Julian Alvarez, I love him, so I would be very, very, very happy if that was the case. It's a huge markup and wasn't blown away by him, said Loizu. Will Nunez go this summer? I certainly believe so, but again, there has to be a willing buyer, and that much I can't say. Would I take Kolo Muani at Liverpool? No, I wouldn't. Doesn't convince me. I think Leao's just posturing with Leverkusen, said Matt Camden. Leao? Bayern were looking at Rafaelo the last I'd heard in Germany as an option. Robin H, welcome to Anfield Agenda Ultras, my man. Appreciate you. Or maybe it's a lady, actually. I don't know. Either way, Robin, welcome in. I don't see Jones getting as many minutes as last year with midfield options we have unless there's injury, said SNB. Yeah, bringing in Wirtz will certainly push him a little bit further down the pecking order. But it was mad seeing him play right back for England today, actually, Curtis Jones. NBR said Voltmada is a lot more worth it than Ekitike. So again, I'm not going to sit here and say I know much about him, but I do love the nickname, the 2-meter Messi. And weirdly, I would like a tall striker. I just feel with Arne Slot, a tall striker might be the way to go because of the runners we could get off them as well. Like, think of Florian Wirtz, think of Dominic Szoboszlai, Alexis McAllister, Mohamed Salah, Gakpo or Diaz, all breaking off a big tall striker who can hold things up, knock things down. I'd be open to it, honestly. And I know people think we're going to want a striker to play on the shoulder and get in behind, but a lot of the time, getting in behind is a problem for us because there's no space when we're playing against somebody sitting deep. I'm sorry, I'm still looking back to see if that gentleman had put in about the story from Anfield Watch. I just want to check if it was Sam that wrote it. I know Inter Milan are in trouble, and I know Lautaro Martinez is a target. Yep, they certainly have lost a manager. Inzaghi went over to start taking that ridiculously high wage of his that he's now got. Meant that as our interest in Leo posturing to Leverkusen. Oh, sorry, there was no genuine interest though in Leo. I checked in when I'd heard it and was told no, and then I was kind of relieved as well to hear Fabrizio Romano say today that no concrete conversations or negotiations between Liverpool, AC Milan, or the agent of Rafaelo have happened. The article was by Peter Staunton. Oh, okay, thank you. I don't know Peter Staunton. I've had some interactions with Sam over the year and really rate Sam Maguire. I think he's a good rider and a nice guy. And Bence as well, I know a little bit. But yeah, I don't know that gentleman. But thank you, Richard. I appreciate you. Are we still in for a striker? I don't know, mate. I don't know. I hope so, because again, I think we need to move Darwin on. But I'm starting to ask myself who's going to buy Darwin, because if Al Hilal or Saudi aren't really interested, where do we sell him to? Archie's edit said Julian Alvarez would be perfect, but let's be realistic, we won't. Oh, mate, look, I'm not expecting it, but God, I'd love it. I'd love it. Is the fee agreed for Wirtz? No one has confirmed it. I confirmed it. If that's not good enough for you, no problem. But yes, it is. Either way, right, no matter whether you think I'm right or wrong, you'll see by tomorrow evening or Monday that everything's moving along. Like, ask yourself this: why would they have booked in the medical? And that's been reported today. So if the medical's booked in and you've heard Nagelsmann say that nobody's asked for him not to play, and everybody, no matter who you believe, is saying that it's at the very, very, very end of it, just ask yourself why all of that is. Triller said, have been crying for Alvarez since he was at City. Same. If you go back and watch when City signed him, I said they're getting an absolute bargain from River Plate. And I still can't believe they sold him. I think maybe his missus or something wanted a different climate or whatever. But yeah, they got a very, very good deal from River Plate when they bought him. Right, so let's check in on our poll. And we've had over 1,000 votes. We asked, would you be okay with a reasonably priced João Pedro move? And 63% said yes, and 37% said no. Nice. Right, ladies and gents, it's been fun. Thank you for a great 2 hours. I will see you tomorrow, most likely, at 8:45 or 8:30 tomorrow night. Again, if you haven't, do drop a like for me before you head off. And don't forget my big favour. If you haven't, do go and subscribe to the Anfield Agenda Clips channel and try to help us get that 100k to get the silver play button. But either way, have a fantastic Saturday night. Enjoy the UFC if you're watching it later. And I will catch up with you guys tomorrow. Much love, my friends. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.